And wow, that's a biggie. That's a biggie. That's a big thing. Because those who also have Uranus in Scorpio, they're going to come up and experience a Uranus opposition soon. Depending on the degree that Uranus is within the sign of Scorpio, folks is going to, all those who have Uranus in Scorpio, the Uranus Scorpio generation, they're going to have a Uranus opposition. Yeah, this is what's going to happen throughout the sojourn of the transit of Uranus through Taurus. So this is bringing up a lot of stuff. It's bringing up a lot of stuff, and there is symptoms that can be experienced physically through these energetic, I should say, energetic. The word shift gets used a lot, and it becomes a word that is kind of coined new age type of thing, the shift. Can you feel the shift coming? So I don't want to kind of come across like that, but there is definitely a vibrational change in frequency, and the symptoms of these can be felt physically. So yeah, I want to go into something more about the family dynamics, relationship dynamics, and it's also to realize that even the way you perceive relationships, the way, the family, and as I said, family comes from the word familiar, okay? So, and you've heard the term when they say familiarity breeds contempt. So that's why, and then we have this kind of fantasy based on TV, Hollywood, and all of that, giving you the Happy Partridge Tree family, the Little House on the Prairie, the Waltons, the Brady Bunch, Jeffersons, if you're in the States, and these type of family set, clinically acted out, scripted families that influence a lot of people in a sense that they absorb these ideas or ideals of family presented to them on the TV, not really being consciously aware that this is all scripted and acting. So then what happens is that they project this upon the family they think they should have, or how a family they're in should be. Why can't you be like them? Why can't you be like And it's like, people do kind of get very influenced and take as a real deal, real thing, a lot of the stuff they may have been brought up with through the TV, okay? Through the different visual transmissions that, conditions your mind. So why I say this is that this all plays a role in the kind of distortions of how people perceive family and how family's supposed to be. And a lot of folk try to mimic this illusionary idea. Now, when I say this, I don't mean that there are no families that resonate harmoniously and positively with each other. Of course, they must be, You got billions of people on this planet, okay? And not everybody is having the same reality or same experience as such. So, but at the same time, there is a lot of illusion projection, okay? A lot of delusionary mindsets that you're trying to formulate and make something fit within an illusionary projection you're assigning to it, to even in relationships, okay? And it's funny, these words, which are just descriptive words, a lot of folk don't go to the root of the words of the language that they use to speak with and think with to really just get a basic firm foundation of what, how they're talking, what they expect it to mean. A lot of people imbue a lot of words with what it don't mean. And then it's like you're trying to fit a round peg in a square hole, that type of thing. So, and forcing it to fit and creating a lot of, you see, what happens out of this is the drama based on the distortions of values and the belief structure of how you believe or, a relationship or a family should be. Now, the thing with family is that families actually play the part of that which represents a lot of your ancestral conditioning, your ancestral karma. When you enter into a family as a soul, coming through whom you chose to come through, okay, or be born through, birth through, you also there's also the theme that that family represents. That's going to be the catalyst for your awakening. But what a lot of people do, or what a lot of things happen, what a lot of circumstances that people end up remaining in, is the conditioning of the family. So you get this karmic transference of what has gone before. Now, what has gone before may be good things, but it's not that everything that was gone before means that it was better. It was good. You know, I do get the whole concept about if the wheel ain't broke, don't fix it. Yeah, there's some things that there's nothing wrong with it. There's no problem with it. And, you know, it would, some of these things you can bring forward, but there is a lot of things that are conditioned, ancestral beliefs. Now, when I say ancestral beliefs, you got to understand firstly that as a soul, see, if you can't understand these fundamental concepts, you won't be able to how can I say, work with the transitionary period in a more of a harmonious way, more of a collaborating, more of a, how you say, you're cooperating with yourself, yeah, rather than resisting or fighting against yourself. If you can't get these concepts, it will be difficult because the old framework, old belief system, the old thought patterning, all of that will keep you in an old paradigm, so to speak. And that old paradigm is going on this demolition now. Because, we're dealing with really a new era of time. Yeah, a new paradigm. Yeah, a new paradigm. We're moving from Piscean age into the Aquarian age. It's a big deal. But when you're not aware of how, when you're not when you're not aware of the bigger picture, when you're not aware of how other pieces actually fit to other pieces to enable you to see the bigger picture of what those pieces are contributing to. When you can't see that, then you're not realizing how one thing is impacting upon another, okay? And how everything that is supporting this transformation, transmutation period that we're going through now, and transcendental period we're going through now. A lot of people don't understand how this is all working, so they're flipping out, okay? They're flipping out, and these are some of the symptoms of the energy buildup, the energy purification, because with this full moon, when you're dealing with Scorpio, the full moon that we just had in Scorpio, when you're dealing with Scorpio, you're talking about purging as well. Yeah, there's many factors dealing with these archetypes that exist within you called sun signs. But they're archetypes, psychic archetypes. So with Scorpio, there's a purging going on. Yeah? Scorpios are also about the toxicity and needing to kind of get rid of toxin, you see, which is related as toxic thoughts, toxic feelings, toxic psychological states, or emotional patterning. Yeah, these are toxic. Okay, they can be toxic. I mean, and that can also be toxic relationships, whether it's with family, siblings, or partners. Okay, they can be toxic in the sense of when we're talking about thoughts and emotions, belief systems, psychological, emotional states. All of these things can either be nourishing, expansive, healthy, healing, or they can be very energy depleting, very distorted, you see, very fear-based, rooted in foundational beliefs that are fear-based, based on separation, based on judgment, based on criticism. And if you look up the word criticism, it actually means to judge. And unfortunately, we've grown up in a society that has made criticism and judgment, hey man, it's just part of the parcel. It's like you can end up living in a toxic environment to the point where you don't realize it's toxic until something happens to move you out of it. And you're now experiencing the turbulence of withdrawal, you know? And you start purging yourself from a certain energy. And when you bring yourself back into that space where that energy was, that's when you realize how toxic where you were was, because now you're feeling the harshness of the incompatibility of the frequency. You see, because everything is about vibrational frequency. Again, have to step up to understand these core foundational principles of knowledge, which is spiritual knowledge, to be able to expand beyond the earthly, material, human, man-made, and woman-made belief systems that is being manifested on this plane. Because they're just human. Okay, they're human. You got another term for that. What, mortal? Huh? And even when we even say human, a lot of people defend that. And that word came around to be widely used, started to be used in the 13th century. And then being got attached to that, and then you get human being in the 17th century. When you're looking at how, you can look at the history of how words and phrases and terminologies, began and how they evolved, so to speak, and what they become now. Okay? So when you're even looking at yourself as human, you see, that's a belief construct. You've been told you're human. Many people before you who then bought into that assisted in making you believe you're human, because it's something you see. You went to school or you went to some institution and they told you this. Scientists tell you these things. A lot of things scientists have been teaching for centuries have been theories. It was never based on any truth, facts that reflect truth, or any truth that they can find with their factual instruments. You see what I'm saying? Instrumentation that is depended upon to give verification or validation to whether something is or is not. So, and it relies a lot upon the five senses. Depends upon reasoning and intellect solely, with the instruments and computing and all what that not to say, I prove that this is right or this is wrong or this exists or does not, which is very limiting anyway. But the point I'm saying here is that this idea of human is also another belief, because if you look into the word human, where a lot of folk don't, you would say, listen, man, you're not human. We're not human. You just question the belief you've been given. It didn't come from you. You didn't say, my gosh, I woke up one day and said, you know what, I realize I'm a human. Oh, yeah. And it came through you like that. Huh? Nobody else told you that. No, that's not how it flexes. You were conditioned to accept this idea of you being human. So when you talk to folk about this human, and now we're dealing with, we're in this era or this age where we're dealing with the spirituality, the expansion of consciousness, the awakening up to the more. Right? To the more of ourselves, to what is the reality and the origin of life? What is the truth of existence? These bigger questions. We're in a time now where it's even becoming trendy. Huh? Whereas the time, my generation came in here, it wasn't trendy. You're a bit strange. I mean, even folks who were kind of teenagers, so to speak, or growing into young adolescents in the 60s, they were going through experimentations and rebellion, from the establishment, okay? The set establishment and how it's being programmed, everybody, and what's being programmed in the system to that forces people to end up living certain ways, because the system we're living in has built in to it oppressiveness, okay? Because of the state and level of consciousness it was birthed out of. It was birthed out of separation. It's birthed out of judgment, you see? And you're dealing with the duality and the separation, that age of Pisces, where everything was projected outside. You're looking for the ultimate truth, look out there, that has been the take for why they talk about BC. They talk about 2,000 years when it comes to this Christ period. And they're talking about a certain period of time when you're dealing with the zodiac signs, because each zodiac sign lasts for 2,120 years. So when you're hearing anything around 2,000, you're talking about the age of Taurus, the age of, Aries, the age of Pisces. Now you're dealing with the age of Aquarius, okay? So when you're dealing with 2,000 and stuff, when you ever hear that, you're dealing with signs, you're dealing with star constellations, you're dealing with the big cosmic clock, okay? You're dealing with the big cosmic clock. And the complete journey around this big cosmic clock rounds up to around 26,000 years, okay? So you just times 2,120 by 12 and see what you get. So we're moving into this age of Aquarius, which is I know. So it's bringing in technology. It's bringing in the opening of spiritual truth, an inundation of knowledge and wisdom, spiritual knowledge and wisdom. And it's bringing you out of the age of separation and judgment into the age of integrity and unity, okay? And this means that where the old paradigm was looking outside of yourself, well, this new paradigm is, instead of looking outside of yourself for the answer, looking outside of yourself for the truth, this new paradigm is about looking inside of yourself for the source, looking inside of yourself for the answers, looking inside of yourself for the truth. Now, a lot of people would turn around from this human perspective, as I was saying, that human. People would defend it and talk about human and us humans are this and us humans is that. And you would ask some folk, do you know what the word human means? Yes. And come with a lot of embellishments. They will come with a lot of this addition, embellishment. That has nothing to do with the word itself. But if they actually went just to the root of the word so they could know what they're saying and why they're using it, then they wouldn't say those things. They wouldn't embellish it with all those meanings that it doesn't have. You've got to the point where people don't even care about the truth or to find the fact of something. And facts and truth is not the same. But I'm just saying, even if it's about facts, some people don't really care because they just want to make up the story they have. They want to believe whatever they believe. You see what I mean? Which is their prerogative. But the thing is that being ignorant of universal laws, nobody's immune from the consequences of the causation that their beliefs set into motion. You see? Cause and effect. You know, a lot of people walk around and don't realize that you're not just this flesh and blood thing, just this like some cup with nothing in it. Your energy. And your energy permeates and goes out before you. You're a vibrational being. So from the old paradigm, and especially looking at yourself as a human and holding that as such a strong belief when it was just something that's just been, again, it's not the conditioning. You've been told this, okay? Then what happens is that it makes it difficult for folk to raise their consciousness to be able to receive this higher knowledge of who they are. They don't understand that, well, look, your energy, your vibrations, you're vibrational. What does that mean? It's good if you even ask, what does that mean? At least you're focusing your attention of your energy towards lighting up what you're now becoming interested in. And what you focus on becomes more amplified into your experience, you see? And, but, so even asking those questions. But also, you got people who ask questions and they're not receptive to the answers. Because really their questions are coming from very sturdy beliefs that they hold on to. And maybe not even examine those beliefs as well. you know. So if they're being spoken to, or if they hear something and they may say, yeah, but I want the answer. Well, to receive something, you have to be in a receptive state. And if you already got your bottle filled with pre-existing beliefs, then how are you going to receive the answer that, or something that enables you to expand out of the belief you're in now? You see what I mean? The limitation of it. Okay? And another thing to ask is, how is the belief serving you? So anyway, when I talk about this word human, because I keep kind of going off a little bit, but back to this human point, why it's so important to really look at this is because a lot of people will defend it, have big chats about, yeah, but we're only human, and it's only humans that do this, it's only humans that do that. See, listen, I even listened to something the other day where some people, a group was chatting about humans are the only ones, the only species that believe. See, animals don't believe anything. It's just like, it just gets even more kind of like, what are you saying? You know, there are thoughts running through animals. Okay? They have ideas. They have memory. They recognize, that which is familiar to it. Animals do have discernment. There is a thinking going on there. But the difference with the animal and ourselves is that the animal has to be true to its nature. Okay? A giraffe is a giraffe. Can't be an elephant. Cannot pretend to be a dog. Cat cannot pretend to be, a wallflower. With the animal kingdom and plant kingdom, you're dealing with what has to be true to its nature. That's what it is. A cat's a cat. Dog's a dog. Horse is a horse, whatever. But when, quote unquote, human comes in now, animals can become domesticated and do things that they would not necessarily do out in the wild, okay? In their natural environment, habitat, and just their wildness, their feralness. They wouldn't do the things that man can train animals to do. So because now you look at man and you find, well, look, man, he can domesticate the elephant. Look at man. Man can make a desert out of a city, or a city out of a desert, okay? So there is therefore something about this vehicle, something about what you call man, that has the ability to choose, has the ability to make choices. But that choices, or the ability to choose, comes with awareness. And the more your awareness, or the more the expansion of your consciousness, your awareness begins to grow, or how you ascend in frequency, vibration, is the more you will come to conscious awareness that you have a choice. There's many people that say they don't have a choice, because where they are at the level of their awareness, that's what it is for them. They don't have a broader perception to realize that on the other side of the wall there is more. There is more than where you are on this side of it. So I use that analogy as a belief. So when you deal with this human thing now, people defend human, well, we humans, and we human this, and we human that, and human. While at the same time you're talking about being spiritual, or you will chat about this stuff, some people say they're a spiritual being having a human experience. And it just turns into so you're a human being having you're a spiritual being having a human experience. And yet you don't know the nature of your spirit. Yeah, it's sometimes a lot of these things also become cliches. As I said, spirituality has become a trend now. Okay? And with everything, you're dealing with a duality plane here. You're dealing with duality. So for everything that is authentic, you're going to have a counterfeit version of it. You see what I mean? So, and you would have to transcend the faculty of transcend the state of consciousness of judgment to develop the spiritual faculty of discernment, in order to be able to very much pick up on what I'm saying here about, there's authentic, organic, cosmic, true, natural, spiritual, spirit, true reality. And then there is this homogenized version. Then there's this counterfeit version, this trendy version. It's become a lifestyle. It's very convenient for the ego. The ego loves that because it's finding another way to hide out, to survive, to not die. You know what I mean? Not lose its position, its seat. Yeah. So, all of that's going on. Okay, all of that's going on, and that comes through looking at it through the observing, discerning eye, where you see what's going on, and through that discernment, you clearly make a choice of what you prefer, and leave others to get on with whatever it is that they're dealing with. Yeah, that's discernment. Judgment would say, "Look, I prefer this," and what someone else's prefer, they have no right preferring that. No, that's out of order, and there you go, clashing against the choices other people make. And because of this judgment and criticism and, this kind of way we think, it's a habit. It's habitual. We take it as like it's the norm. Healthy criticism doesn't hurt, never hurts anybody. Yes, or you got to take constructive criticism. You got to be able to take constructive criticism, man. If you're not, something's wrong with you. But criticism withers you. It does not. And as I said, the word criticism, look into it. It means judgment, harsh judgment, actually. Yeah, harsh judgment is where you look for flaws. You look for why something cannot be authentic. You're looking for it. Okay. Where on the other hand, praise. Praise grows you. Acknowledging positive attributes of yourself, acknowledging positive attributes in others. You get some people that think that's, someone's totally bad or something's completely bad, totally bad. It's wrong completely, And when you deal with man-made type of stuff, this is where you get all these distortions because something can appear to be good and something bad comes out of it. And something can appear to be bad and something good comes out of it. I mean, people have experienced this enough times to be able to see that these experiences are there as evidence to make you realize that you don't hold on, you're not to hold on to too much of a rigid belief, okay? That which narrows you down and keeps you in a tight jacket and becomes so conditioned that you cannot see anything more than the little corner of the picture that you're looking at. You can't step back and see the whole mural, you know what I mean? You're just looking at a corner, a little piece of it and taking that for the whole picture. So this is what certain beliefs can do, keep people locked in a box, And you got the well in there's this, the frog in the well syndrome. That's usually attributed to Taurians. But this is about the small perspective of life that you take for everything. It's the whole deal. When it's like there is more beyond the horizon, There is more beyond the limited perspective that has become a habitual thought pattern that people just hold on to. And they want everything to fit within this belief framework. And things are not going to fit within that belief framework. And this is when certain calamities are experienced. It's like, shit, why is this happening? I'm not getting things the way I want it to be. The thing is that maybe the way you're thinking of these things and expecting it to be and trying to have others to conform to that box, that framework of belief is the problem. You see what I mean? But where there is a problem, there is a solution. But you know what? I'm talking, and I know there's this point about human I kept trying to come and make. And I go into this other part. But it's all interconnected, y'all. You see, the thing with this, when I'm going back to this human stuff, is that many people have never really just looked up what it means. So you embellish it with all these meanings that it doesn't really have. It doesn't have. You're giving them that, And then we want to make things conform to this inaccurate embellishment that we put upon certain terms that we're using to think with. Yeah? If you're speaking a language, at least study the language that you speak with, that you used to think with. At least study it so you know what the heck your thinking is generating. So if you go and look at the word human, you'll find that it comes from the Greek word humus, and it basically literally translates as earth. Well, literally it translates as ground, dirt, and soil. So when you're saying you're human, you're saying that you are ground, dirt, and soil. Okay? And this is where the word humble comes from, which people think that if you are spiritual, if you don't have an ego, even a plant's got an ego, people. But if you for you not to show that you don't have an ego, you must be very humble, okay? And thinking that's a spiritual quality based upon the way you've given that interpretation's being given to you. Now, the word humble comes from the prefix of the word hum, where you get humus from. So, hum, H-U-M, is the prefix of the word humble, and that means to be lowly or small or, humble yourself. You even have people from their ego negatives that they're identifying with would even tell someone, you better humble yourself, or life will humble you. We hear these terms. And really, when you look to say that, look, some people feel intimidated by other people's light. So it's convenient to use certain terminologies out of its, to keep people down. You need to be humble. Now, it means to be small. It means lowly. Now, I've just said that the word humble is also related to the prefix hum, which is related to the word humus, which is where you get the word human from, which means dirt, soil, ground. So when you're being humble, you're being lowly. You're being small. You must go down, that's coming back to the ground. Now, some people would turn around and give it, no, that's not what it means to me. That's not how and it's like, okay, that's cool. I'm talking from not what you're making up or what has been said to you that you embellish the word within your imagination. I'm talking, go back just the word itself. Okay? And if that don't matter, then, you might as well just forget language and meaning altogether. All right? You know what I mean? Anybody, you just say, but you create more confusion if folks don't really comprehend what you're saying through the words and the language you're communicating with. So even something basic as that, it affects the way you think. And the way you think, the way you think is sending out electrical impulses, electrical frequencies. And these also generate the magnetic frequency, which is what you use to feel with. Magnetism. The magnetic aspect of the electric spectrum is your feelings. It's the emotions or feelings where and yes, there's some discrepancy between the two, but, not going to split hairs at this moment about it. Just to kind of forward the point is that you have with the emotions, the magnetism, okay, the magnetic energy field, it pulls towards you. Feelings draw towards you, and also feelings push away, repel. So that's the magnetic spectrum or the magnetic aspect of the field. Okay? That is your emotion. That's your feeling factor. And the thoughts, the active, the go, that's the electrical factor. So your thoughts, words, they're electrical transmissions. And they generate a magnetic field around it because of how you may feel around a particular thought. Because thoughts generate feelings, and also feelings generate thought. Because a magnet, when you take two magnets and you run a magnet along a conduit, a wire, okay, for example, eventually what it will do is generate an electric current. Magnets can generate electrical current. Okay, so I'm using that to give you the correlation of how magnetism is related to your feelings, the emotional aspect. Okay, and how magnetism can generate an electrical current. Just like an electrical current can generate a magnetic field. So this is all a little bit of physics, a little bit of electronics, a little bit of engineering, a little bit of those science there. These are principles that can assist one in understanding something broader about themselves, something deeper about who you are, because you are an electrically charged entity. Yeah, your whole nervous system is running off of electricity. You know what I mean? You know, and as I said, your emotions is magnetic. Okay, so we feel with magnetic impulse and we think with electrical ones. You see what I mean? Electrical charges. Okay, so the way you think, you see, generated from the language you use to think with, the meanings associated to these words, where, you got a lot of folk who speak words, but they don't know the meaning of the words they use. I mean, that's true. That's just freaking facts. Human, for example. How many folks use the word human? I mean, obviously, there are people who do their research, or there's people who ask, deeper questions for their own self, because they will question their own belief system. Where did I get this from? Is this so real? Is this true? In order for them to kind of penetrate deeper into their psychology, emotionality, to actually begin to make transformation. Okay. So the language you use to talk with, man, is the language you're using to think with. And your thinking is setting up electrical frequency, generating magnetism feelings. So you see what's happening. So you get people who will have a certain feeling associated to this word human and don't even understand that the word means earth, dirt, soil. That's what it means, humus. Now you got a lot of information there to give you misinformation to distract you away from these things. You would look up a word and you'll see synonyms. You won't see the etymology of it unless you actually realize an etymology exists. And what does it mean? It means the essence of words. So you want to go into the root. You want to go into the root. So for your own mental health and sanity, man, your own emotional stability. Okay? Because you're going to believe things based upon ideas. And these ideas, impressed upon your subconscious through feeling it to be true, is how you get programmed. You see? So, this human, people will defend it and fight. Argument only, but what's not. And don't realize that you're defending one of the very things that's limiting you, keeping you in a lie about who you are and what you are. You see? So, these planetary transits, I was saying that, thoughts arise from congenital and planetary vibrations. And the planetary vibrations can be experienced as cosmic tides, like as you experience waves within an ocean. You get these waves, some big ones, smaller ones, and then you get ones that build up, some die down, but it's waves. And these waves are energy. And there's a cause and effect behind these energies. So the planetary transits are like, these are like the universal tides or the cosmic tides, okay, that are being experienced. And the more conscious you are of yourself as energy, you will be able to sense these subtler vibrations, these subtler frequencies, and have more of a broader context to work, like, to understand certain things that are taking place. You have more of a broader context to work it out. But if you're unaware or unconscious of the deeper interconnections that you are off, like, I'll put it this way. All is within you. So that includes the entire universe, which therefore contains the planets, the stars, the constellations, other dimensions. You contain it all. So therefore, these planetary configurations and transits, they exist within you. That's what they are. But because of the orientation of separation based upon the paradigm we're coming out of now, which was about separation, duality, and the source is outside of you, separate from you, above you, working upon you, and you know, you gotta watch. You know, you never know what it's gonna work upon you. You know, what's if you're gonna get reward or punishment. You know, these ideas of this source, this power, this origin. Yeah, this origin that the whole universe and this Earth planet is being drawn out of. It's being given this idea of something separate from you and you're apart from it, and you got to be afraid of it because it's like a very strict parent that will either reward or punish you according to the parent's will, and the conditions that you are supposed to meet. These are all human beliefs. When you hear it, you realize these are all human beliefs. This is not spiritual knowledge. This is not direct source information. Okay? It's human stuff. It's egos controlling other egos because egos insecure in itself. So it wants to protect itself from others who it feels threatened by. You know, this is how they set up this world and twist things around to make, the aggressors seem like, the innocent one, and then you create this victim and perpetrator mentality as well. So this is all the distortions. So with this full moon that was in Scorpio and also opposite Uranus that is transiting, as I said, through Taurus for the next 7 to 8 years. Big transformation and deep purification, emotional purification, deep core emotional purification, is going, and for transformation is going on. The transformation of how you may be going about things, the transformation of how you're even relating to your own self, the transformation of your values, what they're being based upon. For example, Uranus in Taurus is about self, the way you relate to yourself. Taurus is also about the inherent capacity and ability that we have within ourselves to be self-reliant, self-sustaining, self-sufficient. So this is why Taurus is about value, like, your value system, what your essential needs are in order for you to survive. This is a physical survive. This is something Taurus is about. It's like, well, okay, what do I essentially need? I need to, in order because what you essentially need is what you're going to value. That's where your values come from. So essential needs, food, clothes, shelter. That's a level. But then, emotional needs, emotional security, emotional feelings of emotional empowerment. You see what I'm saying? That's essential, having a connection with a source greater than the limitation, the finite beliefs that people hold, the finite limited sources. A connection with that which is unlimited. Okay? So all of these pertain to your levels of security. There's physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual needs. Okay? So these needs have to be identified within oneself in order to know what you essentially value about you, how you therefore relate to yourself. Because Venus rules Taurus, and Venus in Taurus is about your relationship with yourself, whereas Venus in Libra is about your relationship with others. You see what I mean? External relationships, okay? Which are just mirror reflections of the way you're relating to yourself. And again, from the human perspective, that can be like, no, because, we just want to blame and push away. People don't even want to acknowledge that they are energy, and that their energy is what is also going out and being felt by others as much as other people's energy going out and be felt by others too. But many people don't even want to acknowledge that they have an energy. There's an energetic signature about you. There's an energetic field, atmosphere about you. And And some folk may even see the reflection of their own energy that they're carrying come back to them and deny it. No, that ain't me. Because you're not looking at yourself in an energetic way. You're just looking at yourself from this aesthetics or just the tangible. And, that's all. That's all very limit. That's unconsciousness. Because you're not, we'd have this saying that some people are like empty vessels. You know what I mean? And there's an old saying that empty vessels make the loudest noise. Clang, 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 which it would be. If you're full, you're not going to have something hitting the sides and making all this sound in the metal can, is it? So it's an analogy to say, you need to be full. You need to become aware to be full. You see, when some people even say, oh, you're full of yourself. Who are you supposed to be full with? Somebody else? I mean, and then we could take that into certain kind of funny, insinuendos who filling you up, eh? But the point is that when you hear these terms, you're full of yourself. Who you're supposed to be? Well, who am I supposed to be full with? But you see, then it's like, oh, but that's the ego. That was the ego. You're just full of yourself. You just think you're all this, you're all that, and all of that type of stuff. You see, this whole idea about how others feel, other people think or should think about themselves. Check that out. You hear some people would say things to others. Oh, you think you're too nice. Oh, look at she or look at he. Look, they love themselves. And don't realize how ridiculous their statement is. Like, what, shouldn't that person love themselves? What, they should feel the way about themselves the way you obviously feel about them to kind of have an issue about what you think they think. Oh, So you see the criticizing and the judgment and the lack of praise, the lack of positive, nourishing, uplifting thoughts we use as words to speak to ourselves, as well as the type of words we may grow up in a family and hear. You know what I'm saying? You may not get nourished. You may not be getting the positive. You're not getting no praise. You're not getting no, you're not being told, man, that was good what you've done. You may not even be ever heard a parent tell you, you're a good son, you're a good daughter, or I love you. Something as simple as that. You may never, I know there are big ass people, they've never heard their parent ever say that. Or siblings. It's usually, not saying it wasn't felt, but if it was felt and not said, that it was held back. But what was not held back is enough criticism. Enough, hey, yo, you could have done that better. Oh, that weren't so good. Oh, blah, blah, blah. Hence, enough people actually walk through life feeling like they're not enough. Where do you think all of these ideas that now, these conditions that is coming up to the fore that people are trying to purge themselves from, they're trying to get over these limitations, get over these things. And they're stuck in themselves because they're still identifying with this person. They can't realize that you're not a human, You're not this earth, flesh, just this earth and soil and this dirt, okay? This is what somebody else has told you to limit your ability to remember yourself. It's limiting your ability to relate to yourself in a harmoniously loving way. It fosters it fosters criticism and judgmental thoughts you'll have to yourself. And then, therefore, others will say that to you, and you'll hear, especially if you grow up in a family when you're dealing with karmic ancestral belief systems that you now become a part of. That becomes so the norm. Many folk will just, criticizing, finding fault, even when they're saying, no, I'm just trying to kind of explain something, point something out. I'm just trying to make a point. Yeah, but it's all tearing down somebody. It's more pertinent. It's like people are more familiar with that. They're more familiar with that. Another way of saying it, when people are familiar with criticism and judgment and so forth, they end up becoming a part of that. That's the way they start to feel and think towards themselves, and they end up becoming maybe a perpetrator of thinking, having a certain mindset. Okay, so they continue a certain ancestral thing. And what happens is like, all right, give an example what someone is familiar with. if someone's very much and we're a lot of us have been caught up in this, so this is not point no finger at no one. The thing is that if you're not familiar with praise, for example, positive things that nourish you, that develop your self-esteem, if you're not used to hearing any of that, I'm talking genuine stuff, yeah, then if somebody approaches you and says something like, hey, yo, man, that top you're wearing is really good. I love the color of it. I love the style. Someone just wants to compliment you about something. Okay, that may be superficial, but, someone may say, hey, man, I like your hair. Hey, man, I like the way your skin looks, or I like something about you. People who are not familiar with praise, what usually happens, the first reaction, say it's a top. Somebody's complimenting you about something you're wearing. The person who is not familiar with praise, they will most probably say something like, what, this old raggedy thing? I've had it for about 7 years, 5 years. It's old. It's not that new. It's not, they will talk it down. The person just said, hey, man, I like the top. They can't just say thank you or receive the praise or the compliment, the positive injection. They have to find the fault, something wrong with it themselves. That's because they're familiar with harsh, critical, hurtful, thoughts, communication, even the way they're talking to themselves, the words they use to speak to themselves with. So when I was saying about your values have been established upon superficial, artificial stuff. Yeah, you value security. So what are you basing your security on? Something material outside of you. So money. Oh, yes, money, security. Yes. So you need, if you have money, you feel secure. If you don't have money, you don't feel secure, those type of values, You compromise yourself for some material sense of security or status or position or comfort, okay? You may compromise yourself because of your value system is based upon where you believe the source of that to keep you feeling safe and secure. You feel it's in this material thing outside of yourself. So if that material thing becomes scarce or limiting, then, hey, now you're on survival mode because you feel your security is being threatened. So what you get, and what's going to happen with this Uranus transit is a deconditioning of the unconscious. Uranus also represents the individual unconscious and the deconditioning of it. All right, so there's going to be a lot of like, enough's enough. No, I can't take this shit no more. Blah blah blah. Gotta be real with what my valuing myself. But true value, unconditioned value of yourself, rather than the conditioned value you're building and depending, using as a foundation for your value system. So these are coming under transformation. Okay, coming under transformation. Uranus in Taurus. And how you relate to yourself is the inner vibration you begin to create that then goes out from you to draw to you reflections of that inner vibration in a relationship external. You see what I mean? So now you're going to get into partnership. Check it out. So opposites Taurus, you're dealing with Scorpio. And Scorpio is about desire. Scorpio is about merging with another. Yeah? It's about merging with another. That's why on a mundane level, people will say Taurus is about your self-value and your self-worth, while as Scorpio is about other people's value and other people's resources. But really, it's about how you merge with another. This is the reason why Scorpio is associated with sexuality, sex, psychology, emotional psychology of sex. Okay? Because it's merging. You're merging with another. So you got trust involved within this, commitment involved within this. That's why I say that Scorpio is a relationship sign, okay? Based on the merging with another. But it also can be the merging with source within yourself, because that's what it ultimately is. Ultimately, Scorpio represents the merging with the ultimate power in the universe, okay? Because Scorpio likes to feel empowered. It doesn't like to feel vulnerable. So when it feels vulnerable, insecurity comes up, okay? And this is where, if you're looking outside, this is where they may say about, Scorpio grabs for power, wants power and control. What it makes it feel emotionally empowered is what it can get obsessed about. If you're dealing with the personality orientation, looking outside of yourself to what you think is a symbol of power for you. Okay? So this is where they say Scorpio can be destructive, can be all about manipulation and deception and, all about power and control. Yeah, but the higher octave of it, you have to understand, Pluto governs, Pluto and Mars govern Scorpio. But when you're dealing with Pluto, you're dealing with the power of the soul. That's why this tremendous power, Pluto is this power. And as I said, it's all within you. And it's about the deep inner core motivation and compulsion that you feel. You feel compelled when you don't understand the source of your motivation, So Scorpio is the questioner of why. I need to get to the core of why of something. Why am I this way and why are others the way they are? These deep questions about life, these deep questions about death, these deep questions about what comes after that, transformation, transmutation. You know what I'm saying? So these are traits, these are psychic aspects within an individual, psychic archetypes, ruling centers of forces within you. So a lot of this, if you can understand that you're not isolated with this, all of this, when you get in these when you get in these transit, they activate this stuff. Okay? They activate what's in your deep subconscious that you are unconscious of to come and rise to the surface in order for the purging. Because the soul wants to purge itself from all of these toxic thoughts and feelings, all of these erroneous decisions or these choices in the past. Because Uranus is also the soul's memory, your memory of the memories of your soul memory. And they get triggered in the present moment. But while they get triggered in the present moment, you may believe that this emotion, all right, triggered from this memory in your soul is happening right now. You believe that the source of this feeling exists in this moment when it isn't. It's just being triggered in this moment. But that source of that feeling is coming from your soul memory. So you're going to have a lot of that coming up, okay? In order for the soul to purge itself from what burdens it. Because that's what you hear. The soul wants to merge with source. Yeah? There's two impulses in the soul. One to merge with source, the other to separate from source. To merge with source is the most positive, most strongest impulse in the soul. But coexisting also at the same time is the urge to separate. Okay? So the soul goes about knowing things through direct experience. Direct experience. It doesn't speculate about stuff. So hence you incarnate to experience something that the soul feels a desire to to explore in order for it to know why. So you as a soul can grow in more self mastery, okay, and to embrace your power. A lot of people are afraid of power. They're afraid of their own power, okay. They're afraid of power, and then you got those who feel they don't have no power. So what they do, they create artificial power, non-authentic power, which is trying to have power over others, okay, rather than being self-empowered, which is really the ultimate thing of what Scorpio is about. Needs to feel emotional, self-empowerment. Okay? So issues around this is coming up. And therefore, issues in relationships are going to come up. And so why I'm saying all of this here is that since we've had this, basically you're just getting waves, yeah? As I said about the universal tides, cosmic tides, you can see the planetary transmissions like that. And these universal tides come in, the ebb and the flow of it. And it's going to wash up some things from the deep up to the surface, onto the shore. You see what I mean? Some of them could be just dead carcasses. It's like, what the heck you got that carrying around in you anymore? You need to bring it up to conscious awareness so you can, you can now delete it. Because it's not something you can carry with you anymore as a vibrational frequency that is not in alignment with your self, with your true source self. The vibrations you hold in your subconscious become the frequencies that draw to you unconsciously that which represents it. So this is why a lot of people may think like, gosh, why is this happening? Why is whatever's happening? And they're not seeing that it's vibrational. Before a baby can even offer words, a baby is offering up vibrations, and everything is vibrations. And I will cement this point by saying, look, dimensions are not places or locations. They are levels of consciousness that vibrate at certain rates of frequency. So each dimension vibrates at a higher rate than the one below it. In each higher dimension, there exists a clearer, wider perspective of reality, a greater level of knowing. That's what happens when you raise your frequency of consciousness, because you are frequency, you're vibrational, you're energy. You see? And so when you raise, as you get higher, you're going to say, in your vibrations. As I said, each dimension vibrates. Each dimension, like a run of a ladder, vibrates at a higher frequency rate, than the one below it. And so in each higher dimension, there exists, as you get high, you get a more of a clearer and wider perspective of reality, a greater level of knowing. You're not just seeing things from a very limited perspective. You got a greater level of knowing. If you're on a higher frequency of consciousness within yourself, you move to a higher dimension or a different scale of consciousness, a higher scale of consciousness, you're going to have more knowing based upon that broader and clearer, perspective of reality. You see, your perspective that shapes your perception. You see, some people need to broaden their perception so they can take in more, tune into higher frequencies, a broader bandwidth of frequency. They even got broadband for your Wi-Fi now, showing you, say, yo, man, you need a broadband if you want your thing to move faster, No narrow band, You want a broader band, broader frequency range. You see? So what happens? We experience more freedom and greater power and more opportunity to create our reality when we are vibrating at a higher, level of consciousness. See, consciousness is more than just being aware that, I'm sitting down here, I got shoes on, I'm aware that my name is so-and-so and who I look like in a mirror and what the name, you're being called, or what it's more the food you eat and all of this. That's not, consciousness is everything. Consciousness actually is. All right, let me put it this way. Your thoughts are created by nature. And then people are looking for the creator. Well, your thoughts are creative by nature. Your thoughts and feelings are creative. The impulse in your consciousness, the nature of your consciousness is creative by nature. So, therefore, your consciousness is the creator. But you've been taught that a creator is some personality or a person whom sits upon a throne, or something that is separate and apart from you, above you, working upon you. You see, these are erroneous beliefs, but hey, if you believe it, that's what you will be confined in, because you're the creator. So, dimensions are not places or locations. You get people who think I need to ascend from here to some other place. That's called escapism. And a lot of spirituality is kind of is more of an escapist type of outlook people got, because they're coming from an escapist point of view. They're trying to avoid what they find uncomfortable rather than facing what it is, so they can dissolve through it. Dissolve it. Solution means to loosen. Solution to a problem. Solution means to loosen. So you want to loosen yourself from the knot that the problem is causing. And therefore you have to confront the challenge. You see what I mean? And the biggest thing is that the challenge we experience in ourselves. You see, because it's easy to deflect an issue out in somebody else outside. Not saying that people don't come with their toxic states and try to, wipe their dirty hands off on a clean towel and make out that they found the towel that way. You know what I mean? All dirty and shit. No, you have people that just want to wipe off their stuff. They don't want to take responsibility for their thing. But, yeah, as I'm saying here, because these transits, it's going to make you have to step into these different realms of consciousness. It's going to make you understand that, look, dimensions, as I said, are not places or locations. Yeah? They're levels of consciousness that vibrate at certain rates of frequencies. So if you imagine every run on a ladder, as you ascend, is a different frequency. And the higher you go is a higher frequency. But you're not dealing with, like, higher ascending, like moving from where you are to reach the escape velocity to move, up on the roof and beyond the roof and away from here. That's how people look, or that's one of the points of view people would see ascension. But ascension, on another level of point of view, is really just the raising in your vibrational frequency of consciousness. And that you're not looking for no place or location to go to. Yeah? More so, it's about raising the level of your consciousness that vibrates at a certain higher rate. Yeah? So then you realize each dimension or each realm of reality is vibrates at a higher state than the one below it. Yeah? And each higher dimension, and you experience in each higher dimension, what you experience is what exists there is more clarity. You end up having a wider perspective of reality. It's like standing on the roof of a house. You're going to see more of the scene around you than if you were inside a house looking through the window. You see what I mean? Out in the street. So just giving that type of analogy, y'all. So yes, I have flowed and gone on with this point that I'm making. And you see, there's a lot of cognitive dissonance based upon what people believe, because people can hold on to such and crystallize themselves in such a belief that if they hear anything contrary to it, they just can't. No, they just reject it. They reject it. Because it's not familiar, you see? And the thing, again, about familiarity, you see? So what happens here as well is that communication, I saw this post on Facebook, and I thought, you know what, that's a good point. And what it is, it was called the day's quote. It goes, the biggest communication problem is we don't listen to understand or understand or to comprehend. We listen to reply. You got some folk, they just want to reply what they got going around as their belief. And if you're just doing that, if you're just listening just so you can reply, you're not listening to comprehend. You're just holding on to a pre-existing point of view you don't want to let go of. You see what I mean? How are you going to receive anything new? How are you going to receive anything more if you're not allowing yourself to be receptive to more? It's very simple. It's what you're doing to yourselves. But some of these beliefs become so, it's survival. People get caught up in a level of survival where this belief, letting go of a certain belief, is like, man, you want me to die or something? I use this belief to survive with. But a lot of people are not even secure in what they believe. So it even makes it even more of an issue if they feel their belief is being challenged. But the whole thing is about making you grow and transform. And that's what these transits are. They're here to help you grow and transform. There's people who just had All of a sudden, lightning out the blue, argument, pow. The day was going beautiful and smooth. Everything seemed to be running along so harmoniously. And then all that was suppressed and deep inside. This is what Uranus can do, man. Sudden, out of the blue. Didn't expect it. Kapow, argument. Kapang! Yeah, and now what was all beautiful or harmonious now is just carnage and pure, disarray. You know what I'm saying? And when people are holding on to a lot of stuff that they are not allowing themselves to move through and dissolve, communications is that folk don't listen. They don't listen in order to understand. They're just listening to when the other person pours so they can say something. Yeah? They're not listening to comprehend, understand what is being communicated. And that creates the problems while they don't even see how they're contributing to it. So these things, these things are going on, and Uranus is also about a higher level of psychology, the higher level communication. Yes, so I think I'm going to play a groove here, go into a tune, so I can step into, wanted to, I just seen some messages here, excuse me for the pausing here. I'm seeing some messages, yeah, thank you, Scarlett. If you're tuning in now, thank you very much for your little gift you sent here. Beautiful. Yes, I will play some tunes here. I'm going to play a tune. Just give a little breakage in here because I'm going to come back and explain and go deeper into these, because you're going to be experiencing symptoms from these changes. Now, the thing is that how you perceive changes is important, because not a lot of people like change. They see change as a threat, a change as, a threat to the comfort zone, or a threat to the fact that they have to make changes from within themselves in order for growth. You see, change is also growth, man. If there's no change, there'd be no growth. So how you gonna grow if you don't want to change? Because you're fixed. You see, fixed signs like Taurus and Scorpio and Aquarius and Leo, fixed signs, they can have an issue with change. You know what I'm saying? Because they could be so resolute in certain belief systems, if they're still caught up in conditioning, that is. Okay? The conditioning of their consciousness has created a crystallization of a belief system that now becomes limiting to the soul, rather than a vessel for the soul to express itself through. It now becomes a container that now becomes like a tight jacket. You know what I'm saying? And this is why the soul will activate and initiate transformation. Because all of what's coming up, all of what you're drawn to, this is the soul. All of what you find transpiring through you, rising with you to ask questions that take you beyond your schoolroom, take you beyond your family's orientations of what, what they teach, all beyond the societal and cultural conditioning. When questions are coming up in you, like you want to know what's the origin of life, what's the truth of existence, where's the source of my being, what's the origin of the universe? You see, these are coming from your soul, because there's a soul, that's your cosmic being in you, which is you, waking up, saying, hey, yo, I want to be liberated here from this humanoid, limited reality that you're taking for, you're taking for the reality of yourself. It's an illusion. It's impermanent. It comes and goes. You know, you're here to discover, to remember the eternal. You're here experiencing transitory experiences. You're here experiencing limitation. You're here experiencing the impermanence of things, okay? You know? The corruptibility of things, the impermanence of things. You see? The change. Everything is permanent. It's impermanent. You're experiencing this here. While you're experiencing this here, you're here to discover or remember what is eternal. Yes. So transformation, all of this that's been going on, what's been bringing up a culmination point. Full moon is also a culmination. Something is reaching its climax, its peak. You see what I mean? Something is reaching this. So what happens here is that this stuff has to, there has to be an ending for a new beginning. Yep, there has to be an ending for a new beginning. That's why Scorpio is about life, death, and rebirth, or transformation. Transmutation, I should say. Because transmutation is actually changing from whatever you look like at a present moment into something completely different, like a metamorphosis of a butterfly. The caterpillar and the butterfly don't look, it's like, nope. You know, the caterpillar, after it's gone through its metamorphosis, turns into a butterfly. That butterfly doesn't resemble anything of a caterpillar. It doesn't move like a caterpillar, doesn't look like a caterpillar, doesn't feed off the same type of nourishment that a caterpillar would need. Yeah, right? When it was a caterpillar. Now that it's a butterfly, it feeds off the nectar of plants, of flowers, man. It flies. It's not grounded. It's elevated. It takes flight. Complete transmutation. That's what transmutation is. And so different to transformation. With transformation, the form is changing. With transmutation, a complete change to even the way you look, the way you think, the way you operate, to your entirety of state, yeah, of being. That's a transmutation, yeah? So it even it gives you the indication, Scorpio, this has got 3 glyphs: scorpion, serpent, eagle. Now, scorpion doesn't look like a serpent. Serpent don't look like an eagle. An eagle don't look like either two. That's what I'm telling you. Transmutation. So this is what is coming up here. Deep emotional security issues from the core level of your soul being brought up to the surface for transmutation. And the values that you've been holding onto based upon how you're relating to yourself, what you feel your essential need is, all of that's going to be coming up for examination and transformation. You're not going to feel that you want the same thing that you did before. You and somebody used to kind of be flexing, and now it just doesn't seem that you value the same things. And the thing with value systems is that some people don't even examine where it comes from. They just want others to conform to what they value. And if it doesn't, then you're not going to have you're going to have an issue with how you relate, isn't it? You see? And plus, if you don't face what you're afraid of based upon whatever fear-based belief you're holding on to, then that's going to be causing issues too. So yes, I'm gonna play a tune here for you, and let me see. I'll build up here because the key message here I want you to get is transmutation and transformation. The transformation of values and the transmutation of one's emotional state. one's emotional securities of what they have been attached to, what they've been, dependent upon. Yeah, because again, the merging that Scorpio is about. Sometimes people are living their life through others. They're not really being true to themselves. You see? So, when you're dealing with Scorpio, you're dealing with your soul. A lot of people, and funny enough, let me hit this point. Funny enough, Scorpio deals with is governed by the eighth house, number 8. Number 8, ain't that something? Number 8 pertains to occult, that which is hidden. Number 8 is the relationship between spirit and matter, the interconnectedness. You see how it loops the symbol 8, the 2 circles, and then you have the centering, interconnecting point that unifies them. So 8 also 8 represents spirit and matter. It represents divine power. It's also the power behind manifestation. Okay? So look at that. And then you're dealing with Scorpio. So when you're dealing with divine power, you're dealing with the power of your soul. The power that's within us. But we may look outside of ourselves for a position to represent power. Money to represent power. You see what I'm saying? To feel emotionally empowered, for you to, say that you have power. But what you're associated with outside of yourself, those things can disappear. Those things can change. So you see the situation people set themselves up for based upon the beliefs they choose to hold, what they want to remain and retain onto. All right, so I'm gonna play a rhythm here. I'm gonna play a dub plate here by King Tubby. So tune into this here, and just tune into this here. Yeah. That was King Tubby there. And yeah, just gonna read out something, just an announcement. There is Speakers Club Windrush. I've just been given this to read out here. The Speakers Club Windrush Legacy Showcase, special screening of the controversial short film on melanin for discussion by Professor Derek Albert Bell Jr. Albinism, the 16th, Sunday the 16th of June, 2019, from 2 p.m. till 9 p.m. at St. Anne's Library, which is Sisbury Road. That's CISSBURY. Yeah, Sisbury Road, London, N15 5PU. The event info, the tickets, there's tickets on sale, which is £5, and there's stalls. And if you want further information on the Speakers Club event taking place on Sunday, the 16th of June, 2019, you can contact DS Jammers and Brother Dougie. Telephone number here to call is 07931 417 553. That's DS Jammers number. And for Brother Dougie, it's 07882 403 871. That is the Speakers Club Windrush Legacy Showcase. That is airing a special screening of the controversial short film on melanin for discussion, called Albinism, directed by Professor Derek Albert Bell Jr. So that is what's going on. Just a shout out on that. And yeah, if you're interested, then make your way down there on the Sunday, 16th of June, 2019. The event is starts from 2 p.m. till 9 p.m. So yes, so a lot of things I've touched on, because everything is very interconnected. So sometimes when we talk about things and isolate them in compartments, it makes it you end up accentuating more of a problem to why you can't see the solution, because everything is interconnected, man. And if you're dealing with a puzzle, you see that a puzzle starts off with the whole picture first, and then it's fragmented into pieces. Okay? So when you're dealing with pieces, you have to understand how one piece relates to another piece in order for the picture that it's formulating. One piece may not relate to another piece in the way that makes them fit together effortlessly and complementary. So you have to find the pieces that fit together. But you don't just hold on to one little piece and think that you got the whole picture. You have to see how this piece you got is fitting with another piece that's being introduced to you. And as you continue with this, you begin to build up more of a bigger picture to what you're seeing or what you're viewing, what you're taking in. So your perspective broadens until you can see the fuller picture. And now you see the fuller picture, you know where all these pieces, which represents details, fit. You know where to place them. Okay? So the bigger picture here, you see, the bigger picture is what is the focus point here. Many folk do not look into the bigger picture. They're just talking from their corner of the room or their side of where they've now become polarized. And they're not seeing the other side to then find the balance or see how what you're thinking is separate from something else is actually related intimately as two extremes of the same thing. You know, these are principles to understand because they're the cosmic laws of your being. When I just said about two extremes of the same thing, that's polarity, hot and cold. They're two extremes of the same thing, just varying and differing itself at by degrees. Yeah, the differentiation is through degrees. You know, the hotter, the colder. It's just degrees, temperature. They're both temperature. So you're dealing with two extremes of the same thing. For example, as I said, mentioned, hot and cold. Okay, sharp and blunt, wet and dry. You know, high and low. Get what I'm saying? They're two extremes of the same thing. When you go into a separative way of looking at stuff and not looking at it holistically, then you get caught up with, oh, well, high is better than low and low is better than high, and whoever's preferring whatever extreme aspect of a polarity that they're leaning onto. So when one does that, by nature, the universal laws of rhythm will kick in to readdress the balance. Yep. And when you're unconscious of these things, you're going to think, oh gosh, what's happening? You think things are happening to you rather than through you. See, it's all about perspective. It's all about the broadening or narrowing of your perception to whether you can get, and you can tune into higher rates of frequency of your consciousness, higher consciousness states, or whether you stay, on lower states where it's more contracted there. You don't see a broader view. But the higher you go, you will. It's just like, as I said, if you was to stand on the roof of a block of project, or what they call flats, yeah, you would have a panoramic view, okay, of the whole skyline and everything around you. You would have a broader and wider scope than if you were just sitting in your apartment on the 3rd floor of a 22-floor storage building. The perspective is going to be very different. So the higher you go, the broader and wider your perspective becomes, and more knowing and clarity can flow into you because you're tuning into a higher frequency of consciousness, a higher frequency of you. High frequency of you. You see? Expanding more into you. Okay? So, yeah, man. So there's this, transformation. And at first, when whatever has come up to be brought up to light, brought up to conscious awareness, when that comes up, you have to understand that, because at the moment now, stuff is kicked in, a few days ago, last strong and so forth, and now these things kicked in, but when it comes up, it now gives you the opportunity to reflect upon your behavior or your actions or what took place. You can reflect upon, it takes you into yourself to reflect upon the whys. What's going on here? Why did oh my gosh, I lost my composure. What happened? What is this? So how is it serving you? The whole situation is serving you to get more in touch with who you really are and to transform the situation that no longer can operate and function the way it is. We're not saying that everything is going to be an ending as in like people just go apart. And sometime maybe that may be the thing. What I'm saying is that the transformation can also take place in the way you relate. And if you transform in the way that you relate, then you may find that you actually, your connection becomes better. Because something has to transform in order for the change to take place. And that transformation takes place inside of yourself. What limited beliefs and points of view are you holding on to? What limited beliefs and points of view that you want others to conform to? Yeah? And that becomes your problem because they don't want to conform to it. But here's the thing. They also have their beliefs too and issues that they may have going on. And you may come to a point where you realize, well, hang on a minute. Maybe we just reached to this, that's it. It's the end of the road. And you need to jump into a plane now because you can't continue a journey in a car. Sometimes the transformation is like that. It doesn't mean your journey is stopped, but it may be the mode of your transport or you getting there has to change in order for you to get to the next stage of growth and development in your own self. Or you could realize you were the axe problem. You were co-creating to the issue. And therefore, if you want something to change, you are the one who's got to change. You see what I mean? Independently of if the other one changes or not. Yeah, because it's not about
This change isn't about others changing to your whim. It's about you changing to become more and realize more of who you really are. Because this is about liberation, yeah.
Yeah, you have to understand all of what's being talked about, all of what's coming through. You know, for it to have any value, you have to understand how it supports your transformation, growth, and spiritual transmutation. So we can free ourselves from these forced belief systems. The way the government, the way this system, this society is being set up, it has hardwired, programmed within it oppressiveness. Okay? It was being built up upon distortions that now all the cracks are showing. You see what I'm saying? So these are signs when you're looking out there what's going on around you for you to tune in more to yourself, to realize this is transformation. I gotta, how I'm gonna experience this is through my awareness. The more I broaden and expand the awareness of who I truly am. Who am I? Truly beyond your conditioning of what you ancestral stuff. As I said already about this ancestral stuff, yeah. It's major criticism, judgment, and people just tear one another down. People tear their own selves down. The way, the words they use to talk with, they say to their own self, the words, the hurtful, harsh and judgmental words they use to communicate with their own selves, man. You're just used to it because of ancestral, hereditary, fear-based, judgmental, separative, critical thinking. Yeah? So your family, or what's familiar to you, could be representing the ancestral limited beliefs and fear-based concepts that you come in here to be the one to transform that. Stop with you. You're the one who can stop all of that stuff. Dysfunctional thoughts and beliefs, congenital, inherited, belief systems and thoughts and feelings that will create the same dis-ease conditions in you as it did in those before you if you stay along thinking along those same lines. Okay? Just conforming to family stuff. This is the reason why I'm not about this, everything about ancestral and everything about the past and we must bring forward. I don't agree with all of that. Some things are good, some things are well left, throw it in the fire. You see? And I don't, some people may feel offended when there was no intention to offend. But again, that happens when you're holding tightly to a belief that you're not even asking yourself, where has this actually come from? And how authentic is it, man? And how is this aligned to the nature of my soul so I can be true to who I am? Not being an extension of those who came before you, because you're not them and they are not you. You are unique. A unique individualized expression of the source of all that is. Yeah? Just like each drop of water, each snowflake. Yes, it comes out from the same substance, but they're all uniquely different. And we are here to be our true intrinsic self. Anyway, look here, the time is 22:23. I did start late. Well, I shouldn't say that. There's no such thing as that when you are dealing with divine timing. Yeah, when you are dealing with divine timing. So I'll conclude everything I'm saying because this was a bounce on from the last show when I was referring to the full moon and family in Scorpio and the family and relationship dynamics. But before I go, I'm going to wrap this up in a little nutshell. You see, every time you hear, we got to wake up to ourselves. Every time you hear
Yeah, man, being your true self. Yeah, you got to know yourself, know thyself, wake up to yourself, be yourself. Every time you hear that, yeah, as I said, spirituality and a lot of this stuff is becoming trendy. Okay? So it's not really the authentic version you're getting of it. You're getting these distortions where people are using certain keywords, trigger words, you know what I'm saying? Ascension, consciousness, these words of, spirituality, consciousness expansion, These are trigger words that can come through any ass book you're reading or any person you've been listening to, especially now with the inundation of knowledge or information, I should say, through the social media, okay? So, to clarify something, when you talk about yourself, when I am talking about the self, we are talking about the I, the eternal I. We're talking about the soul. Now, I'm going to wrap up something with something that I'm going to use, okay, to springboard my next show up from. Because one of my earliest shows that I've ever did on Bless Radio was about what is love. And I went into the word amor. And because this whole idea of love, big thing this is, man. Because on the 3D, what people are calling love is fear. It ain't love at all. But your conditioning will fight for it. Yeah, you fight for this distorted idea of love, which is actually fear masking around as love. So I'm going to say this, yeah, because when we're dealing with the self, I'm talking about the soul. Yeah, I'm not talking about the conditioned, who you think you are, who you believe you are. You being an extension of your familiarity of whatever your belief system and background structure from that was about. Nah, man. I'm talking about the intrinsic self, which is the inward, natural self, So, spirituality has become trendy. I'm telling you this now. People calling themselves by the food they eat. I'm a vegan. I'm a vegetarian. Are you a pescatarian? Are you, I'm a raw food. I'm a raw food diet expert. Okay, cool. But you're calling yourself that. You're actually saying you're a vegetarian. If you are what you eat, then are you a vegetable if you am vegetables? If you're a vegetarian, are you a vegetable? Yeah? When you hear about vegetables, somebody with vegetable, they're brain dead. Huh? If you are what you eat. Anyway, I could go into that in another way, right? But what I want to talk about here, before I go, wrap it up, is about, this word love, because this is the key. You got to come back around to what the whole thing is about love. But look here, you're living in the Western world that's giving you a lot of Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, Walt Disney, dizzy knees, fantasy, illusionary delusions about love. Okay? And it's usually, and all of it's human perspectives on love. Frightened of someone leaving. Oh, don't want to be alone. Oh, clinging on to what you fear, leaving or losing. Yeah, leaving you or losing. These ideas. And the ego will defend it. I know what love is. If you really did know what love is, you would never operate in a way where you believe love can leave you or you could ever lose it. If you knew what love is. I'm saying this as a fact because most people's emotional issues come up because they do not feel loved enough or that they are loved and they're looking for it in someone else or something else. Now, the thing is this. There's nothing wrong sharing, merging with another. But here's the difference. If you are love, then you're going to be motivated by who you can share it with. But if you're looking for love, you're going to be coming from a place of where you feel you're a deficit in it and you're looking to get it from somebody else. You see the difference? So love is our soul. The soul, you see, now I'm going to brought down something here. There's a word called amour that you will hear in French, love. That's what I was talking about in one of my first shows, amour. And people think it's a French word, but amour in French comes from the Italian word amour. All right? It's just a different spelling, but it's the same pronunciation. So Italian get their language from Latin. And Latin, you got Vulgar Latin, late Latin, classical Latin, ecclesiastical Latin, flip dick boy. You got all of that type of how you say the journey of Latin. But the thing is this, Italian. The further south of Italy you go, you get dark-skinned Italians. Same thing with Spain. Okay? And when you're dealing with Spain, you're dealing with the North African, North Africans, given the term Moors, which comes from the word more, which is to deal with a Greek word meaning, again, black, dark, So the word amour means love, but you see, check. A lot of people are dealing with human idea of love. But the root of the word amour actually comes from an old African dialect. You have the word amauru or amaru, right? These has got the word amor, where you're dealing with the roots behind the formation and development of other languages. Languages means lingo, your tongue, lingo, language, yeah, langua, yeah, lingam. You know what I'm saying? It's your tongue, okay? Your lingo. So that's what your language is, okay? So when you deal with the word amor, it comes from two aspects. Am meaning soul and ur meaning light, okay? I'll just make this quick because then I'm going to use the next show to go into this. So love, because it's a big thing here, because it's love is the key. But it's the true thing. Is what has power, not what's parading itself as power, but is powerless. So what you got is this idea of love, which is fear, which has nothing to do with love at all. It's to do with your fears, your insecurities, attachments. The human doesn't want to hear this. It doesn't want to hear this, but this is what it is. So when we chat about amour, when we're talking about love, the word that word is combined of soul and light. That's what amour, means soul, and ur, right? Ur is fire or light. And the metaphor for the soul has always been a flame, and how light also symbolizes truth. See, you gotta get you gotta understand this. So amor is love, but it's the light of the soul, amor. Yeah? That is the love. When you're hearing about love, not this human dictated fear-based, trying to hold on, trying to preserve, trying to mask your insecurities by manipulating and holding on to that which you feel yours is your source of security, and if it was to ever leave you, then oh my gosh, I'll die. You hear people who chat stuff like, I will die, I love you so much I will die for you. Okay. Or I love you, while I will kill any other man I see with you. It's just like, what is this thing? Love switches from so-called how you say warm affection into fervent hate. Just like that. Bam. Yeah. Someone was rubbed up the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I'm telling you now, when we're dealing with amor, and when I'm talking about the self, we got to realize we're transcending this earthly perception, okay? View, indoctrination of how we relate to ourselves, all right? How you relate to you. So when you use the word amor is a derivation of the soul and light. So amor is about the soul's light, or you can say the light of the soul, or you can say the soul that enters the light. Okay? Now, the light is the light of the alchemist. Now, you have the word alchemy. And alchemy. Al means source. Al. Also where you get the word Allah. Yeah, related to. And chemi. Chemi means black, but chem also means to cast metal. And when you're going to cast metal, is about you casting metal upon metal. You are fusing metal together. You're fusing something together. So chem is to fuse, and al, it means the source. So alchemy actually breaks down to meaning merging or fusing with the source. Yeah, meaning to fuse with or merge with source. That's alchemy. The alchemy that takes place within ourselves. So this is also depicted as the invisible space, yeah, of Mother Source. Hence why the feminine has always been seen as that which is receptive and is the center we always go back to, like we were in the womb. But when you're dealing with the invisible space, you're talking about the formless awareness, okay, of being. And the mother is also the impressed upon, the feeling aspect, okay? And the feminine, that the mother which gives birth, yeah, conceives and gives birth to the concept conceived within itself. Yeah? In fact, I'll give you a little secret of what the representation of Virgo is. But no, I won't even say it anymore. Virgo. Yeah, it's quite a mystical sign, that is. Because that's where you're getting the mother, yeah, the virgin giving birth to the son. But I'll go into that another time. So when we're dealing with source, formlessness, the void, yeah, the deep space, the emptiness, yeah, that would be the primordial womb, the primordial nothingness, the space that all things emerge out from. So that's why it would be derived as the mother principle. But the father principle is what sets the goal and directs what is to be created. Straight up, okay? That's the reason why the man, yeah, selects whether you're going to have a boy or a girl, because it depends which, yeah, with the, yeah, Y or X. You know, if the X in the man's semen it connects with the X in the woman, in the female, then you get a girl. But if the X in the woman connects with the Y in the man's semen, you get a boy. Yeah. So the masculine directs the creation, sets the goals of what is to be created, and the feminine is what creates. You get what I'm saying? One directs, the other, the other creates, you know, or gives form to, creates the house for that, for the life to dwell within. So love is really the light of the soul. Amor means the light of the soul. Amor. Yeah? And it's about the fusing and merging with source. Right? It's the invisible space of the mother source, the formless nothingness, the unconditioned formless awareness of being. Yeah? And now the thing is, when you're tuning into this, you're tuning into information, source information. Okay? Because as I said, everything is vibration. Okay? And all dimensions or realms of reality are just different states of consciousness. The higher you go, the more expanded and clearer and more knowing your perception and perspective becomes. So this information that takes place now, to merge with source, this is what the whole thing is now. Because now I'm going to say, when merging, the fact of the merging with source, one must understand that love is dissolution. Love is dissolution. Love is something that dissolves, loosens. Yeah, when we enter into absolute love. Absolute love is also the same as unconditional love, because it's absolute love. Now, when we're talking about soul, yeah, amor, soul, the light of the soul. Your soul is the love, yeah? And love is like this infinite ocean where all that is of form, all that all that exists in time, space, and matter eventually dissolves itself. It dissolves into the ocean of love, because love is the original source form energy that all of something was drawn out from. All the substance, all has been created and made out of. That energy, that original source form of energy is love. So this is like a universal solvent. So it's about merging and dissolving in this love. You see what I'm saying? Because love transcends time and space. Love transcends all boundaries and limitations. You see? So it's the love of your soul, because your soul is the essence of that energy. So it's like we've been conditioned to hate ourselves, to not love ourselves, and we've done it perfectly. Now we've had enough. It's time to remember who we are. And that's going inward now to directly perceive the truth within ourselves. Okay? But when you're now at the 3D level, yeah? This is where now you experience what is considered the opposite of love, which is fear. And on this plane, it's all about how you pay, or what you pay attention to. So what you give attention to, the intention of your attention, the fact of not paying attention, right, to something means that you're not really interested in it. You see? And there's no energy from you going to it. But when you're paying attention, what people usually say on the 3D level is that when we love somebody or something, that's when we bring our attention to it. And this is what you call love down here. Okay? You're paying attention to something which gives you, you're interested. You're interested. Okay? But this fear down here, which is called love, is separation. Fear comes from the perception of separation. Love is the realization of your connectedness and oneness of whom you already is. Because as I said, amor means the light of the soul, or the soul's light. Okay? Or entering, or the soul entering into the light. And you hear this thing about light, enter into the light. But, this light we're chatting about is the golden, universal, golden life force energy of love, of the soul, because the soul is that energy. So, on that note, I'll end it on that. And bid y'all a good shadow hour. And bid you all a good shadow hour. And excuse me, all a good shadow hour. And I'm gonna deal with these just play an outro here, give you the indication that the show is over. But I said a lot of things. And I'm going to call this show Amor, the Soul's Light. And this is where I'm going to pick up from in the next show. And go on and start to expound a bit more on cosmic laws, the cosmic principles, universal truth. And give you a clearer distinction to show you the difference between human beliefs, earthly, limited beliefs, and what spiritual truth is based upon. The foundation, okay? The foundation of the law of your being is based upon the truth of existence. And from the human perspective, you don't have the truth of existence. All you have is scientific theories. Scientific theories do not mean that something is a fact or is true. And there's a difference between facts and truth. But I'll go into all of this next Tuesday. So I'm just searching for something here. And yes.
Yeah, that's it, y'all. So thank you for
Tuning in, running with me, being, have the stamina and so forth. And I hope that you listen to comprehend, because that's one of the big communication problems. We don't listen to comprehend, we just listen to reply, as if to say we didn't really hear what the other person had said. And therefore, how are you going to grow? How are you going to, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, yo peeps, yeah, I wish you a good shadow hour. And yeah, I'll end this with my
statement, which is expect
and accept the best. Always accept and expect the best. Because for too long, people talk about something too good can't be true. See them type of thinking is? Yeah. So expect and accept the best in yourself and all that you desire to draw to you and interact with or merge with. All right? Okay, y'all. So, catch you on the flip side.
and the service that you provide. And
Wow, 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 now.